Let me tell you a story, love. It starts in Istanbul, a city with one foot in Europe and the other deep in the East. A place where the wind blows through centuries of empires, revolutions, and religion, and where women, always the first to feel a shift in the weather, became the canaries in the coal mine. Now take Istanbul University. That place, it's not just a school, it's a weather vane. A barometer of what's brewing in Islam at any given moment. Not the faith itself, mind you, but which version of it's winning the tug of war that year. Back in the 60s and 70s, during the days of the Shah of Iran, before the mullahs took over next door, you'd walk past Istanbul Uni and see women in skirts, jeans, lipstick. Some wore scarves, yeah, but by choice. They were studying medicine, law, literature, real future builders. The university backed them. Secular law backed them. The mosque stayed in its lane, but it didn't last, did it? Come 1980, the military steps in, classic Turkish coup, and suddenly anything too Islamic is suspect. A law is passed to separate church and state. They ban the headscarf at universities. Think about that, a Muslim country, banning Muslim women from wearing scarves to class. Some women refused to stop wearing headscarves, and they were then refused to take exams. And women protested, of course they did. Some got expelled. Some just disappeared off campus entirely. Some wore wigs to pass the checkpoint. No joke, real women, real courage. All this just to get an education. But here's where it twists. Fast forward to 2010, Erdogan's in power, and he lifts the ban. Victory, right? Not quite. See, when the scarf came back, it wasn't just about freedom anymore. It was about conformity. The pressure flipped sides and women had to adjust. Now, if you don't wear a headscarf, you're seen as un-Islamic, westernized, immoral. And suddenly the women who used to walk with their hair in the wind, well, they start tying it back out of fear. Not law, but culture. And culture bites deeper than law ever can. They call it the illusion of choice, and they're bang on. And while all this is playing out in Istanbul, guess what starts happening here in the UK? Quiet little whispers, calls for cultural sensitivity in our schools, Sharia arbitration popping up in Birmingham, daft abuse of women's rights if you ask me. And I am gobsmacked that local councils have been turning a blind eye to honor violence for the sake of cohesion. Oh, and we decided not to prosecute Muslim rape gangs because it might lead to community tensions. Blimey, we're not miles apart anymore. The same forces that slowly squeeze choice out of Turkish women's hands. They're testing the waters here. And once you bend secular law to appease cultural norms, it's the women who always bend furthest, as Istanbul University students proved. And what of the university itself? Istanbul Uni used to be a beacon of pluralism. But after 2010, the curriculum shifted. Religious studies took up more air. Women dropped out of hard sciences. And even those who stayed, most wore the scarf. Some the niqab. A few said no, and you never heard from them again. No, it's not a burqa police state, but the mindset, it crept in like damp through the floorboards. And once it's in, it rots everything. Here's what I worry about. In Britain, we're sleepwalking into the same trap. We think we're being polite, inclusive, but by tolerating the intolerant, we chip away at the very freedoms we claim to protect. When we accept dress codes as culture, without asking who enforces them or why, we become part of the pressure machine. This ain't about Islam, it's about militant interpretations of it. Versions that teach a man he's entitled to control a woman's body because he can't control himself, whether through force or family values. And look, you want to wear a scarf, be my guest, that's real freedom. But when it's not safe to not wear one, when a girl in Tower Hamlets is afraid to show her hair because of what her uncle might say, that's not religion anymore. That's fear, and fear is no friend of faith. So the lesson from Istanbul? Simple. Protect secular law, keep religion in its rightful place, a private one. Fight for women's rights like they're the canary in the cage. Because once the air gets toxic for her, it won't be long before we're all choking, mate. And as for the headscarf, it's not the cloth that's the problem. It's the cultural control behind it. So if you care about freedom, if you care about your daughter's future, don't look away. Watch Istanbul. Remember what was lost unnecessarily for so many women. And don't let the UK follow suit, one scarf, one silent objection at a time.